Tesla's efficiency advantage is cheap and abundant LFP batteries that will power mass-market electric vehicles. Welcome back, dear friends. This is Armen Harian from TorqueNews.com. If you are here for the first time, please subscribe to our channel, like this video, and to show your appreciation of all the people who have brought these stories to us. And also, I would greatly appreciate if you would share in social media, Facebook, Twitter, and so on. Yesterday, Dr. Maximilian Holland has published a very interesting story in Clean Technica talking about Tesla's efficiency advantage, and he says that cheap and abundant LFP batteries will power mass-market electric vehicles. You can see Dr. Holland's story's link in the description of this video. This is why I'm asking you to please like this video and share in social media to show your appreciation of Dr. Maximilian Holland's work. He writes saying, Tesla's second quarter earnings call just confirmed what may be the hottest technology topic for the electric vehicle revolution. Relatively inexpensive and abundant lithium iron phosphate LFP batteries are well suited to affordable mass market electric vehicles so long as they are energy efficient. This confirms that frequent concerns over battery mineral constraints and fundamental cost barriers for powering the electric vehicle transition can potentially be laid to rest. He also says, in Tesla's second quarter earnings call, Elon Musk confirmed that lithium iron phosphate, often called as lithium ferrophosphate or simply LFP batteries, will play a key role in energizing the company's highest volume vehicles, starting with the Shanghai Model 3. Here's a quote. Tesla total vehicle efficiently has gotten good enough for Model 3, for example, that we can actually are comfortable having an iron phosphate battery pack in Model 3 in China that will be in volume production later this year. So we think that getting a range that is in the high 200s, almost 300 miles per charge, with an iron phosphate pack taking into account a whole bunch of powertrain and other vehicle efficiencies is possible. Elon Musk continued saying, and that frees up a lot of capacity for things like the Tesla Semi and other projects that require higher energy density batteries. So you have two supply chains that you can tap into, iron phosphate or nickel-based chemistries. The improving vehicle efficiencies mentioned as examples in the call include powertrain efficiency and some tire efficiency, drag coefficients, or HVAC going to a heat pump. Now, battery mineral costs and volumes are advantage LFP. We have covered, he says, LFP battery technology many times before, and Tesla has supply contracts in place with CATL for these batteries. CATL, of course, is China's giant electric vehicle battery producer. LFP's basic advantage is that relative to the conventionally used nickel-based cathode chemistries, its key constituent minerals, iron, phosphates, and more recently trace amounts of manganese, are highly abundant and relatively inexpensive. Iron ore, for example, is mined at a volume of almost 3 billion metric tons each year, 1,000 times more than the approximately 2.5 million tons of nickel that are mined annually, and only 60% of that is Class 1 nickel suitable for batteries. Likewise, phosphates are currently mined at around 160 billion tons per year, according to USGS. Manganese production is around 16 million tons per year. Largely as a consequence of their relative abundance and already well-established supply chains, the cost of these minerals is inexpensive. Iron ore is typically under 10% per kilo and relatively stable in pricing. Phosphate rock is in the same ballpark. Manganese ore is less expensive still. There are refining and processing costs to add to these figures. but this is still an order of magnitude less than the mineral prices for nickel-based battery cathodes. Relative to the other industrial uses of iron phosphates and manganese, the fraction of these minerals going to LFP battery manufacturing is relatively small and will remain so, even with anticipated fast growth in electric vehicle battery production. In short, there is already enough supply of these minerals to accommodate battery manufacturing without requiring huge increases in mined quantities or spikes in pricing. Nickel-based electric vehicle battery chemistries, on the other hand, took an already significant approximately 6% of global Class 1 nickel production, even at 2019's electric vehicle market share, or around 2.5% of automotive sales. When electric vehicle market share climbs to 25%, that's going to require 60% of the recent historical volume of global Class 1 nickel production. That's nickel that is already in demand for steel making and other industrial processes. Nickel typically costs around $13 per kilogram, and an average battery electric vehicle requires the vehicle's battery requires on order of 40 to 60 kilograms. That means $600 to $900 of raw cost of nickel. In 2019, the nickel price spiked. In mid-2019, last year, the nickel price spiked to almost $18 per kilo, so over 1,000 raw cost of nickel for large battery electric vehicles. So that means almost $1,000 of cost for a battery in an electric car. Then there are the well-known problems around cobalt, with ethically complex supply chains, limited mined quantities, most of which is already claimed for battery manufacturing, and high prices of cobalt. Cobalt is now moving from today's 20% cathode mass in common NCM 622 varieties to just 10% of cathode by mass in the latest NCM 811 or 712 varieties. But that's still on the order of about 5 kilograms per vehicle at recent prices of around $33 per kilogram. That means around $165 per battery of electric raw cost. In 2017 to 2018, the cobalt prices spiked to around $95 per kilogram, so that's almost $500 raw cost per vehicle to add to the previous one. Tesla uses at least two varieties of nickel cobalt cells from Panasonic and LG Chem. Panasonic batteries are NCA and LG Chem batteries chemistries are NCM, and Tesla has tried to minimize the amounts of cobalt required, but there is still some cobalt exposure there, and obviously the nickel exposure is unavoidable, it being the key ingredient of this class of battery chemistry. During the earnings call, Tesla CEO Elon Musk even requested nickel suppliers to get in contact and to ramp up their production as much as possible. Overall, then the key minerals for LFP batteries are a great deal more abundant and prices are less expensive and more stable than minerals for nickel-based batteries. This reflects in LFP batteries already being a good bit less expensive than nickel-based batteries per kilowatt hour, the rumor being on the order of 20% less expensive for Tesla, though the exact costs are closely guarded competitive secrets. Since the constituent minerals are so inexpensive, the LFP energy density continues to steadily improve. There is plenty of scope for that price per kilowatt hour to keep reducing further over the coming years. Now, sufficient energy density is at the pack level. LFP battery cells do not have quite as high energy density as nickel-based cells. Although the difference is minimized by their not needing as complex and heavy packaging and EV battery packs, this is because their greater thermal stability, lower cooling needs, and typically better cycle life compared to nickel-based cells. the cutting-edge commercially used energy density at cell level is roughly 190 to 200 Wh per kilogram for LFP, compared to 275 to 300 Wh per kilogram for nickel-based battery cells. Energy density at the pack level is a much closer 160 Wh per kilogram versus 200 Wh per kilogram. Both technologies, along with other battery chemistries, are gradually improving their energy density and other performance characteristics with further research. The 160 Wh per kilogram at the pack level that is possible today for cutting-edge LFP is already sufficient energy density for compelling passenger electric vehicles, if used wisely. As Tesla's EVs have rapidly become more efficient in their use of energy, the suitability of LFP batteries has therefore grown in scope. Tesla leads the industry in energy-efficient electric vehicles. Although we see also good progress for Hyundai and one of the two other manufacturers, though usually for most modest performance family vehicles. Musk made it clear that nickel-based battery packs will still play a key role in the Tesla vehicles that require the very highest energy density. There is two general classes of cells: iron phosphate and nickel-based. Nickel-based cells have higher energy density, so longer range. Obviously, those are needed for something like the semi, where every unit of mass that you add in battery pack, you have to subtract in cargo. So it's very important to have a mass-efficient and long-range pack. However, what we're seeing with our passenger vehicles is that total vehicle efficiency has gotten good enough that we actually are comfortable having LFP blends into the same quote as we saw above. So now let's talk about the mileage. Later in the earnings call, Tesla CEO Elon Musk also reiterated that, quote, almost 300 miles point he first made above top of the article. With regard to passenger vehicle, Elon said, I think that the new normal for range is going to be in the USA approximately 300 miles per charge. I think people will really come to expect a number closer to 300 miles as normal, because you do need to take into account, is it very hot outside or very cold? Are you driving up a tall mountain with a full load and people don't want to get to the destination with 10 miles of range? They want some reasonable margin. So I think really close to 300 miles is going to be a new normal, about 500 kilometers basically. I agree that this is a good target to aim for, depending on the market and how efficient the vehicle is in cold conditions and the highway speed. Super efficient heat pumps and smart thermal management helps with cold conditions, though extreme cold can still give at least a 15 to 20% heat to range even with these. Slippery area helps maximize energy efficiency on those occasional long highway tips, but high speed cause a range hit or at least 10% compared to more typical daily speed on maxed road types. So a cold winter road trip can sap a good 30% of more of your rated range. Thus Musk points into the above quote. Friends, as Tesla vehicles' energy efficiency continues to improve and LFP chemistry continues to improve both in energy density, charging speed, and longevity, we will see Tesla leveraging LFP to continue to offer more and more compelling vehicles over time. LFP battery will help keep the cost of batteries improving, enabling Tesla to provide more affordable vehicles over time. Meanwhile, other vehicle makers wishing to offer compelling electric vehicles at competitive prices must learn from Tesla's approach and focus on vehicle efficiency. Well, friends, thank you very much for listening, and I appreciate this story very much, and thank you, Dr. Holland, for this report. And please subscribe to our channel. This is Armen Harian from TorqueNews.com. Like this video to show your appreciation of Dr. Maximilian Holland, and you can find the entire article referenced in the description of this video. I'll see you soon in our next report. God bless you, and take good care of each other, friends. See you soon.